everyone and welcome back. So I'm doing another list video, and this one was an interesting one to do. So these are 10 films that really disturbed me. And I sort of went through different criteria as I was putting this list together. So, because there are a lot of films, I think, for, as you're watching it, it's disturbing, and even like as soon as it's over, you're disturbed by it. But then there are ones that, like, the experience of watching it is you have the feeling of being disturbed, but then kind of, afterwards, you can kind of release the feeling. Whereas some of the ones, probably all of these that I chose for this list are ones that sort of lingered, sort of stayed with me, actually stayed in me even till now. Some of them I watched many years ago. Well, many years ago for the first time. And I kind of figured this was a interesting list to put together. And I also want to say that this list, even though I am going sort of 10 to 1, it's not a countdown. I kind of just wanted them to put them in some kind of order. So it's like, it's number 1 isn't really like the most disturbing film I've ever seen. I just wanted to do a countdown. So just take that into consideration as I'm doing a countdown. So speaking of which, let's get started. So coming in at number 10 is Freaks from 1932, the Todd Browning film. It takes place at a traveling carnival where you have a group of freaks, people with disabilities and things like that, who at the time, they would join a circus or a carnival, and they would kind of go around and stuff. And that's how some of them basically just made a living back then. And of course, this is one of those films that also got lost because of the subject matter. People kind of freaked out at the time, and I believe a lot of the elements were literally destroyed at the time. And luckily, some of them actually survived. And I think the film got a resurgence, I think in the 50s, maybe. Luckily, not all the prints and stuff were destroyed, so we do still have the film to this day. But I remember the first time I saw it. I was a kid and I rented it from the video store, and it's just a very unique experience. And I think the amazing thing about it, and it kind of speaks to human nature in many different ways, is the fact that on the one end, it's like you have these, oddities, people with all these issues, ailments and whatever, and conditions and stuff. And you do have that moment of like, whoa, it's like, I think it's, honestly, that's a natural human reaction. So you do have that, and obviously it's there for the whole film. And, but at the same time, the film sort of sympathizes with them. And that's, to me, is kind of the beauty of the film. And that's why I think it also stayed with me, ever since I first saw it as a kid. The film has stayed with me because of those elements, the sort of naturally disturbing things of seeing, especially when you're a kid, kind of seeing people with all these, different issues and stuff. But then also the sort of, again, the message of compassion and sympathy and everything. And while not as disturbing technically as probably the other films on this list, it's definitely one that, again, just has stayed with me ever since. And coming in at number 9 is the movie Trauma. So not the Argento film, but it's actually a movie from Chile from 2017. And it's about a group of girls who are vacationing there in this one kind of secluded house, and they get assaulted by this bizarre family, and I mean, assaulted, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. You see some stuff from the past for some members of the family, as far as like what they went through when they were younger and stuff, and then like how they turn out kind of all messed up. And so anyway, it's a messed up film. And yeah, so that's definitely one that stayed with me and has ever since I saw it. I think I saw it for the first time 4 years ago, maybe. I think it was maybe 4 years ago now. Not an easy watch, but I think that's also why it has stayed with me, all these years later. And coming in at number 8 is the guinea pig film, Flower of Flesh and Blood, the Japanese film from 1985. I think it's actually when it was made, which became notorious because it's shot on video film. It's actually not I can't even remember the running time. It's actually not like super long. But a kind of bootleg version got out, and Charlie Sheen had seen it at some point, I think in maybe the 90s or something, and he thought it was real, and he turned it over to the authorities and stuff. Like, it was, I think at that point is kind of where it really gained notoriety. And what it is it's literally a guy who kidnaps a woman and spends the running time basically just chopping and mutilating and all that. That's it. That's the film, you know. And I think that's what it was, because especially since it was shot on video, and I think it was a VHS tape, so the quality even kind of looked like messed up, probably on the version that he saw. So I guess he thought it was real. I mean, I admit the effects are very, you know, realistic in a lot of ways. And yeah, that's another one that when I saw it, it was like, wow. You know, it's like, okay, that's literally, like, it's not really a plot, that's all it is, and it doesn't hold back. I'm trying to think, like, I've seen some messed up stuff kind of throughout my life, but I think that might have been one of the first ones I ever saw where, like, it was just something like that, like a film that was literally just, you know, that extreme, and that literally all it was. You know, it's not having like stuff that's part of a film, it's literally just that is the film. And coming in at number 7 is I Spit on Your Grave, obviously the original one from 1978, if I remember correctly. And this is another one where it's yeah, probably, you know, most of you probably seen it, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. But obviously, it's about a woman who escapes to this small town so she could work on a book. She rents this house, and then these local guys assault her, and then eventually she is able to take revenge on them. And the thing is, this main thing about this film is the assault, which was it 4 guys, right, if I remember correctly, and it happens 4 different times. You know, it's like, it's not like it's one scene that's intense. It's just like, no, this guy, and then there's a break, and then this guy, and then, you know, and it just goes on and on and on. And that is one that has definitely kind of stayed with me, because it, not because of that, but also even when she does eventually take revenge, which is good, you know, because you're kind of happy that she is able to take revenge. But even then, even by the end of the film, it's not like, oh, good, she got them all back, which you're glad she got them all back. But at the same time, it's just like, you know, but she still had to go through all of that. But anyway, I know some people aren't as disturbed by it as I've been. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's definitely, it's always been effective for me, for sure. And coming in at number 6 is Martyrs from 2008, which is just such an interesting film, because it almost starts out as if it's one thing and then it becomes something completely different. And I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it. I know I hadn't seen it for the longest time. And it's just real quick. It's about 2 girls, and one of which is getting revenge on this family because she convinces her friend that they like did all this stuff to her, and you kind of think the friend is crazy. And then the other friend gets taken and is just then put through one extreme after the next of all different kinds of torture and things like that. But there's a reason for it, and I think that's why it also has stuck around, is because of the final reason, which is just like, good lord. And I do remember initially, like, I think having the switch between kind of like the first half and the second half, a little jarring at first, but that didn't, over time, it didn't affect, like, it didn't diminish my feelings on it at all. In fact, again, even from the first time I saw it, like, I could still, even now, especially the second half, you know, just thinking just everything that kind of goes on there. But it's a very well done film, you know. It's like, so you kind of have that going for it. So if you can stomach it, it is actually a very good film, and what it leads up to is very interesting. I'll just put it that way. And coming in at number 5 is actually the one I saw the most recent. I think from this recording, I actually saw it for the first time almost 2 months ago, and I'm including it because it has stuck with me so much in these last, you know, almost 2 months, kind of thing. And that is The Men Behind the Sun from 1988, the Japanese film, the Chinese film that has to do with the Japanese camp, 731, that during World War II ran all these horrific experiments, and the majority of the people that they would do these experiments on were the Chinese. It's almost shocking. Like, you can't even imagine the stuff that they did. So in 1988, this film was made to kind of showcase that, because it has been one of those where I think Japanese have been trying to kind of slide it, like, yeah, it happened, but let's not talk about it. And I think definitely a lot of people in China, I think, definitely wanted this just to be known, so you kind of hope history doesn't repeat itself. But it is, this film doesn't hold back. Now, this is one of those films, I will say, it's borderline as far as exploitation, but also kind of being a bit of a, like, actually presenting history. But, and it's weird because it does show, like, it, it's very, very graphic, so it does kind of peter on the exploitation aspect, but it almost is trying to show these horrific things, so what was done. And it is shocking. And there was actually one scene in the film especially, which I didn't find out till afterwards. I'm not going to get specifics, but let's just say there's one scene where they actually used a real body. And that's all. I'm not going to go any further than this, at least not in a YouTube video. So just kind of leave it there. But yeah, this was definitely one where even immediately, because I heard about some of the stuff that happened, but I never actually looked into it before. And it made me look into it and everything. And yeah, I mean, ever since I watched it, it's kind of been haunting me actually a bit. Very, very powerful film, and definitely the reputation it has is well earned. Speaking of reputation, and this next one, some people may not be like, it's not quite horror, like it is, but it's not. For me, it's, yeah, okay, it's not like traditional horror, but to me, it's still I consider it a horror film, and that is Salò. The 120 Days of Sodom from 1975, which has to do with the abuse of children. This was during actually World War II, and it takes place in Italy, and it was just all the stuff that these sort of higher ups had, this place where they had all these kind of kidnapped kids, like kind of like in their teens and stuff, and they just use them for anything that they wanted, and I mean like literally anything. And it doesn't hold back. It's very, very graphic, including the scenes which I think a lot of us do find hard to watch, where they are forced to eat stuff that comes out and it should not go back in. We'll just leave it there. And it is, again, just it's disturbing and but so well done. And it's trying to showcase this part in history, and it's just like it's amazing. It is amazing, but it's not easy to watch. It's absolutely not easy to watch. That one also is a little bit more well known, so we'll just kind of move on to the next one. Well, actually, this next one is also well known, and coming in at number 3 is Henry: Portrait of a Serial Killer. From 1986, directed by John McNaughton, which is a sort of fictional account of a serial killer going around Chicago. And it's a funny thing about it is the fact that the people who put up the money for it, they gave John McNaughton money to make a horror film because they just wanted some quick cash. Figure like make a low budget horror film, and most likely we can make a small profit on it. And what does he do? He takes the money and goes and makes this absolutely disturbing film about a serial killer and his buddy, and obviously going around and doing stuff to people. But the interesting thing about Henry is the fact that it's very serious, and it's like, and of course it has amazing actors, Michael Rooker and Tom Tolles, and they're just absolutely amazing in it. So you have this it's dramatic, and then these moments of all the violence and everything. And that was one too where, Jesus, like, how did I grow up this way? I saw it as a kid. I rented it from the video store. I saw it as a kid, and it was like, I still remember watching it that first time, and it was just like what am I watching? Like, I was still trying to grasp it, because it does have a slight, I think because it does have those kind of serious dramatic moments. So there are moments where it does kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it does sort of have a little bit of a realistic feel in a lot of scenes. but an absolutely stunning piece of work. And I think, and again, it wasn't made for even that much money, and it's probably why it is so effective, because they couldn't, they couldn't make it glossy and, fancy or anything in any kind of horror film. It's like down and dirty, and I think that's what kind of adds to the power of it. And yeah, ever since little me, and not little, but I think it was in high school actually at the time, where I'm just watching it and just, like that hasn't gone away. All right, down to the last two. Coming in number 2 is Cannibal Holocaust from 1980, which probably, I think a lot of people kind of feel this way, which again is one, from the first time I saw it all the way through now, it is so unforgettable, and it's unforgettable for so many different reasons. And I think I know for me, the first time I saw it, because when I first saw it, this was before it really became available, at least here in the States. Like, you couldn't, it was before like Grindhouse releasing to put it out on video. I actually got a bootleg of it, so that's actually the first time I watched it. It was like I think it was like a DVD bootleg, and I think that almost even added to like the feeling of it, because the majority of the film is sort of done in a like found footage way. They sort of have like kind of the regular elements of the film, and then it goes to the characters, the main character watching the footage that he finds from these people who disappeared. You find out who were taken by a cannibal tribe, but what got them up to that point. And well, it's all on film, all the horrible stuff that they did, and all the horrible stuff that eventually the cannibals did. But obviously one of the big things about the film is obviously it does unfortunately have a lot of actual animal killings, and I think that also what adds to the notoriety, and also what adds to the disturbing aspects. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like the animal stuff, especially the turtle scene. It's probably one of my least favorite scenes of any movie. But at the same time, that's almost like what gives it's that extra level of what's disturbing. And so it is one of those where it's complicated. Like, I think because of films like that, I know it has become where it's just like, look, don't hurt animals in movies, in any level. So you almost look at it as a time capsule of just like, well, that was kind of, even though there were still moments going forward, but that was kind of around the time where it started really becoming like, okay, enough with real stuff in movies. But even honestly, even for me, like, even if you did actually take out like the animal stuff, I still think it's like disturbing and very effective to what the group does to the locals and stuff, and what it leads up to. So yeah, it's still, to this day, I mean, I still think it's one of the most disturbing films I've ever seen. And honestly, I think even if I include the animal stuff, I probably would consider it the most disturbing one, just because, again, because it is real, for that stuff. And now we get to number 1, but just because it is number 1, it's not like the most disturbing film I've ever seen. Again, the list is just like, you put these films almost in any order, but for number 1, I do have a Serbian film from 2010, which is a film that I saw when I first saw it. Okay, when I first saw it, I didn't really know anything about it. I saw it at a special screening in a movie theater. And I can't even tell you how like unbelievable that experience alone was, going into it. Almost blind, not completely. A buddy of mine did tell me, like, look, it's just about this adult star. He needs money, and then he starts doing these things. It's effed up. It's effed up. And that's basically kind of all I knew kind of going into it. And that's basically what it is. It's about a former adult star in Serbia who is down on his luck, and then he gets this opportunity to do a new adult film, even though he had retired. But he just really needs the money. But the only thing is, the guy making the film is offering him like a ton of money. But the thing is, he cannot know what the film is about. Like, he basically is put in these situations as they're filming it, and he just needs to react to it and stuff. And then it starts out a little subtle, and then it gets worse and worse and worse as it goes along, including the infamous scene, which I'm not even going to mention. But holy hell, first time I saw that, I mean, Jesus Christ, talk about punch to the stomach by how intense that was. And yeah, I mean, the film has a reputation because it's earned it. And another one that is just, it stuck with me. And again, I think because the first time I saw it, it was before really people knew about it. And so it's, again, that experience, I think, is also what lends itself for me to really have it be with me even to this day. So those are 10 horror films that definitely disturbed me. And I also want to say, actually, except for 3 of these, I think on my list, or no, actually 2. I've, as disturbed as I've been with these films, I rewatched them, and I think that's also what kind of played into me choosing these. And the only reason why the 2 that I haven't seen, which was haven't rewatched Trauma and Men Behind the Sun, is because they were more recent. Trauma was a couple of years ago, but I just haven't gotten around to rewatching it. But the Men Behind the Sun, again, it was plus minus 2 months ago since I saw it for the first time. But all the other films on this list, I've seen many, many times, and I can sit here and talk about how much I'm disturbed by them and have been and everything. And even Cannibal Holocaust, as much as I hate all the animal stuff, as of this recording, we haven't gotten the 4K yet, but we are going to, and I will buy it and I'll rewatch it in 4K. Good Lord. So those are my picks. Let me know some of yours. If there's a couple films, or even just one film that really just, oh man, it just got to you, like really, really badly. And a special shout out to my channel members. As always, it means so much. I do hope that you are enjoying the exclusive content. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.